Welcome to another episode of the Produce Department. I am your host, Eddie Dynamite, aka Ed Bradley of the Streets, and we got a special double dose for y'all tonight, man. Every small town hides its giants. In Moncks Corner, South Carolina, where dirt roads and pine trees stretch toward the endless horizon, two men carved their name into the fabric of sound, each from different paths, each with their own fire, each reshaping what it means to create the soil of the South. First, DJ Slice, the architect of energy, raised in the pulse of community block parties where the crackle of vinyl carried more weight than the sermons and the scratch of turntables could turn a nighttime into a lifetime memory. Slice came up in a world where being a DJ wasn't just about music, it was about commanding the room, holding the culture in your hands and deciding which record could make the night explode. From humble beginnings in Monk's Corner, he became the one who could take the silence and flip it into electricity. His story one is resilience, rhythm, and raw instinct, built on sweat, vinyl, and vision. And I got my dog Big Sam, the alchemist of sound. While others were chasing spotlight, Samson was in the shadows, chiseling beats like marble, layering sounds like brushstrokes on a canvas. From childhood curiosities with sounds of sleepless nights, shaping beats in makeshift studios, he became a sculpture of sonic landscapes. His gift turning raw noise into emotion. His beat don't just play, they breathe. They tell the stories of the South, the struggle, the triumph, and relentless creativity. Samson is proof that unseen hands often carry the heaviest weight in music. Also, Big Sam is the CEO of the Pitch Black Entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Got Eddie Dynamite, A-Rab, you know what I'm saying? Countless others, you know what I'm saying? Just to add a little piece into the mix, you know what I'm saying? But tonight, man, I want y'all to welcome to the show, family. We got my dogs, DJ Slice and Big Sam. What's up, brothers? How y'all doing?
What's happening, Eddie Dynamite?
What's good, fellas? What's good, man?
Life is good, brother. Life is good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. It's definitely good. Definitely good to see y'all, man. So,
always, brother.
We got to bring that Berkeley County love on there, man. So we gonna start this off, man. You know what I'm saying? I know it's late, man. You know what I'm saying? And like I always say, time is money. So we gonna kick it off. So Slice, we gonna start with you, Slice. You know what I'm saying? You we gonna go from the left to the right. Slice, tell me exactly, man. What part of the corner you from, man? You know what I'm saying? Tell me about your childhood and your upbringing, brother.
All right. Actually, we moved here from Newark, New Jersey. I was young. It was back in the 70s. And basically, I was just born there, but I was basically raised here. I grew up in the music here, you know.
Okay. Word. Okay. So so what year was that? Did your family move to the corner? Was it always in the Ville in Haynesville when you moved in, or were y'all did you another part of Moncks Corner?
Oh no, it was always Haynesville. It was back around 72, something like that.
Okay.
And we moved to Haynesville, and my mom and pop, they was always active in the community. I think that's where I get some of my being active from.
Right.
It's just in them,
Right. Super dope. So, Sam, what about you? Where exactly in the corner, man, are you from? I know, but for the, what I'm saying. Tell the family, man, exactly where you from in the corner, and tell them about your childhood and your upbringing, brother.
All right, I'm right here from Whitesville Road, Moncks Corner, South Carolina. Born and raised, went right there to Berkeley High School. Early days, growing up around here, in Moncks Corner. First love got into music, hip hop started, started listening to hip hop and, had a love for hip hop and, just loved the way that hip hop sounded and, what it stood for. And, just kind of got into music and, started listening to music, got into music, wanting to get more behind the scenes and, be more you know, more of a producer, you know, and behind the scenes and, you know, getting into, you know, things like that. And, you know,
Hey,
got in touch
you,
with
you,
man here, Slice.
you ain't gotta go. You going too fast for me. We ain't gotta.
I got you. I got you. I got you.
We gonna take them on a ride. You know what I'm saying? I want them to know everything. You know what I'm saying? So going back to your childhood, because we're gonna go back to that because that's very important. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to speak past that because our childhoods. I always ask every guest about their childhood and their upbringing because your childhood and your upbringing is what makes you. You know what I'm saying? Regardless whether you've been through other experiences growing up, but those first experiences is what make you and shape you. So going back to that childhood and upbringing, going to you, I'll start with you again, first, Sam. What did your parents play any music in the house? I mean, what was the music, your first musical experience in your life, brother?
Oh, back in the day, I know everybody remember them big record players they used to have. I mean, big old long record players they used to have back in the day. My mom used to have one of those, and she used to have like house parties, and she used to always be playing, you know, Motown and you know all of the hits and everything. So you know that's where it kind of started at right there, listening to things like that and all of the old artists, and you know that's where my love of music started at right there.
Okay.
And
Okay, so it wasn't even no rap. You talking about R&B? You know what I'm saying?
R&B, yeah,
Soul,
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 right, Al
right?
Green, Betty Wright, you know,
Wow, classics,
yeah,
classics.
exactly,
What
yeah.
what what about you, Slice?
Oh man. Ooh-wee.
Did your parents was it the same? Did your parents play a lot of music in the home?
Well, before we moved here, we used to live in Newark, New Jersey. And the building we lived in, my parents used to have what they call rent parties.
Mm,
You know, the floor you on, anybody need help with their rent, they would have like these house parties, what
mm,
they would call rent parties. And
mm,
I can remember a lot of nights, me and my cousins, my brothers, my sisters, we in the room, and our parents are playing stuff like Joe Tex and
mm,
Percy
mm,
Sledge. You
mm.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Right, right.
All those cats. And you know, I just fell in love with the rhythm, the music.
Dope, real dope, real dope, real dope, real dope. So well, with you Slice with your parents playing all this music around the home. What was the word? Were there any neighborhood? Because I know you, like I said, you were a DJ. So were there any early DJs that you looked up to? Was that even on your radar, or was it just more or less you were just absorbing the music at the time?
Nah, basically it was just, you know, absorbing the music at the time.
Hmm.
Now, they did play music, but it wasn't a whole lot. You just heard a whole lot of it when came time for the parties. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But then when we moved down here, it took a shift.
Mm,
So it wasn't as much music. It was more or less yard work, garden work. You know what I'm saying?
right. Right.
And you know, the music kind of left me, the love for it, but then it came back once my dad started running this baseball team.
Mm,
And then they started having parties and things like that. I couldn't go because I was kind of young,
right.
but
Right.
you forget, you know, you hear about it being on the baseball field, you know, playing, you hear music,
Mhm.
and it just brought back the love for the music. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Yeah.
Dope. 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 That's dope. That's dope. Sam, I'm gonna ask you the same question. Um, well, when with that love of that blues and that soul that your mom's was playing in the house, did that push you to want to be involved in music during that time, or was it just you just really absorbing the music during that time?
Or it made me want to be involved in the music. I
Mm,
mean,
mm,
even from you know Michael Jackson and you know the things that he did, and just watching behind the scenes of, Quincy Jones in the studio, a lot of the big producers in the studio, it just gave me the love for the equipment, and just wanting to be in the studio environment. So that's really what kind of sparked everything off and got me kind of started in the love for it.
Right. That's super dope. That's super dope. So going back to you going back to you, Sam, but like you said, you want to be involved. What was the first experience with you dealing with music? What were you yourself? Because I know you motherfuckers know, they don't know you done dropped a couple verses here and there, you know what I'm saying, on these songs. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I have.
So on those early times, when the rap came in? Because like we gonna go from the hip hop too. Because I said I know your first, like you said, your first experience was the blues. You know what I'm saying? All that early on. That probably was pre-rap. So when you got into the rap, what was your first connection with the rap? What was the first joint you like? Man, listen, hey, these niggas, they going off with this shit. I gotta play this shit every day, every night. Who was the artist that you was really fucking with during that time?
During that time, it would have been Rakim.
Mm,
Him,
mm,
when
mm.
Rakim came in, he kind of changed the game, changed the flow, changed, the way that people were spitting at the time, and a lot
Right,
of the things of what they was talking about.
right.
So, I would have to say it would have been Rakim.
Mm-hmm,
You know,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
definitely,
Right. You was rocking with that Rakim. So
definitely
did you have your radio out there? Did you have the outfits on?
Rakim.
Talk to me, like, give me the
Now, I did have the radio. I didn't really have too much for the outfit. You know what I'm saying?
right.
I didn't grow up with the silver spoon in my mouth or nothing like that. So
Right.
I couldn't really afford the outfits like that. But
Right.
the radio, I was able to, moms was able to get me the radio and stuff. So I was walking around, with the boom box, and trying to imitate the style and everything.
Right.
So I grew up on it. Hip hop kind of started when I was younger. So
Right.
you know, I used to break dance also.
Right.
You wouldn't believe it, but I used to break dance also.
Right.
Back in the day.
Okay. Did they have like some break dancing? Was it some tournaments in Monk's Corner? Was it places they were doing it at? Where were you Where were you break dancing? Just in your home? What was the environment with that early rap days? Was there any other people that were trying to rap during that time in Monk's Corner during those early, like you say, Rakim? I'm pretty sure Big Daddy Kane, all that. Those early stages. Was it any brothers out there that you heard that was in the town, or were you yourself rapping during the time?
Or during that time, I wasn't rapping just yet.
Mm-hmm.
The artist that I was, really listening to from our town, Monk's Corner, was BMX, Pee Wee Shine.
Okay.
We had Yoruba Randall
Also, they were rapping early during those early days during that
on
time.
those early days. Yeah. Oh,
Word.
Pete's been around for a while. He's been doing this thing for a while. I was young
Yeah.
when DJ Slice was doing these parties.
Okay.
BMX was out there doing his thing.
Okay.
So
Okay.
those guys have been around. They're a little older than me. So they've been around a little bit longer than I have. So I kind of, I was a young guy, kind of,
Right.
watching these guys do their thing.
Oh,
I've been inspired by, DJ Slice,
right.
BMX,
Right.
and a host of others that's, from Monk's Corner that's been doing their thing for a long time.
Yeah, but definitely shout out BMX, man, and AKA Pee Wee Shine and Yoruba, definitely two legends from the town. So that's a good segue, Sam. So Sam gave me a good segue. So Slice, during this time you DJing the party. So this the early days. We talking about this. So how did you initially get involved with DJing during this early time? What was your first turntable? What was your first experience with that?
That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sam said, we didn't grow up with a silver spoon in our mouth. And my parents had 5 kids at the time. So basically, we had to do chores and things, work in the fields and gardens to get money. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
So my first turntable, I forgot the name of it, but it was a white plastic turntable. I couldn't afford a mixer. I had to build a mixer.
Wow. During those
Yeah.
early, So where did you get this turntable from? Where was it from?
It was at some consignment store that used to be on Main Street in Monk's Corner.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay, okay,
yeah,
okay.
they
Um,
had it in there. And I said, wow, I can make this work.
and
You
you
know, I'd see the little videos on TV and things. So, you know.
right, right. So did you? So you had them. So you had the mind state to know how to build a mixer at the time. How did you figure out how to build a mixer with that?
Volume knobs.
Mm, 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 mm. And just built your own. You built your own setup basically.
Yes, I did.
Okay, okay, okay. So tell me, take us from there. So what was the next? What was the next ride? I want to go here to the first party. Take me to the first party.
Okay. There was a guy by the name of Kareem Sharif, and he called himself Kareem the Dream. God bless the dead. He done went on. He had equipment. By this time, I was like 14, 15, and I was trying to, get this DJ thing down. So my parents during this time, they were kind of strict too. So they let me go, and plus my brother was married to his niece. So that made it kind of easier. And we would go over there and I would mess with him and his equipment, you know, really learning how to DJ and get it down. Once I saw what he once I saw what he had, it was time for me to get a job and go to work because I had to get my own equipment. My parents wasn't gonna buy it for me. So, I had to get it. By this time I was 15 and I was working a job right here in town in Monk's Corner. And I bought my first set of turntables
Wow.
and my first official mixer. And that was it.
Okay, okay. So from when you so what you had when you got the first initial mixer, you got the real deal joint. So what was on your mind? Did you do promotion? Like I'm just gonna start doing these parties. What that people was hitting you up? Did they know that you have it? How did you get your name spread during that time?
Yeah, that's funny. See, it's easy. Now it's easy. Back then you had to rely on a lot of word of mouth.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying?
right,
It was a lot of word of mouth. And you had your little clique, your little crew. And you get your equipment and you were set up and you start spinning. Cats start rapping. You say, okay, you know, and then from there, I would say when somebody was having a party, they say, hey, my man over here, he DJs,
hmm
you know. And then from there, it went to started DJing the parties at the high school. During that time, they
right.
actually had dances at the high school.
Mm, mm,
And
mm.
I DJ'd a bunch of them. From the time when I was in high school, out of high school, until basically they stopped having parties.
Right. Okay. Okay. Okay.
But then, other DJs came after me.
Right.
But,
Right.
I say I up until about my 20s.
Okay. So with this rain, we just sticking on this early rain, you know what I'm saying, with you with this DJing. So what you practicing when you got your first set, was you home practicing all night? Was you up all night mixing, throwing stuff on? Who was the DJs that inspired you during that time? I mean,
Yo,
celebrity or local, wasn't any local DJs that inspired you?
oh man. Oh yeah, man. Willie Will, God bless the dead.
Mhm.
May he rest in peace.
Most
We
definitely.
just lost him.
Mhm.
Great DJ, awesome DJ.
Yes,
I
sir.
used to hang out at his crib and I picked up a lot from him.
hmm
And then there's Disco Danny Cooper.
mm mm. This
Nice,
okay.
phenomenal DJs.
That sound like a legend right there, Disco Danny Cooper, boy. That sound
Oh
like
yeah, man. Disco Danny was the man.
right, right.
Sunday night, Hot Wheels skating ring.
Mm, mm,
Oh man.
mm.
See, during them times you could go out and have a good time.
Right,
We just go, we just go and just watch Danny and Willie Will battle.
And where was this at? This was in Charleston during this time.
Oh, this was in Somerville.
Somerville. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Cool. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Right on Trolley Road.
That's cold. That's cold.
But I also came up in the time where, in order to be solidified, you had to battle somebody every week.
Right. Okay. I got you. Okay. Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
So, iron sharpens iron.
That's right. That's right. So
You
you had
only made,
you had your own battles that you had. You had to go against a man every week.
yeah, basically, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But those days was good, man.
Right. So during that time, we Sam, like you said, Sam, you at those parties, you at those dances, you seeing Slice out there DJ, like you said, you seeing the brothers grab the mic. So and you saying to yourself, like, man, shit, I want to be part of this music. You know what I'm saying? I like you said, you grew up with it. Now you in the hip hop era. Now you really want to get involved. What was your experience with your first piece of equipment? Was it recording, or was it actually rapping? What was your first take on it? Give me the both sides of the game.
Okay. Well, first I started out rapping.
Okay.
I would write little verses, little battle verses. It's like Slice was saying, you always had a battle. So, I would go to school and, kids would be waiting for me. As soon as I get off the bus, they waiting on me. Crowd around us, and that's when the beatbox was out. So we would have somebody come and beatbox for us, and we in there rapping, doing our thing, and the kids would tell you who won at the end of it. The one that got the most cheers there, you the winner. If you didn't win that day, you went back home, wrote you another verse, and you came back the next day. So that's what I was known for first, was doing the rapping.
Okay.
Then after the rapping, you know, I wanted to get more into, the studio, getting into more into engineering and stuff like that. So wanted to form a crew. So, after high school, I started working. So I was able to afford some equipment. So I went and bought a little keyboard. I think it was a little Yamaha keyboard I went and bought. And I couldn't play. I didn't know anything about the keyboard. So I believe that piece, no, in fact, it was I think it was the Alesis sequencer. I didn't know how to run it. I bought it from the pawn shop. I went to the pawn shop, bought this little Alesis little sequence thing, didn't know how to run it, had buttons all over it. So knowing Slice, went by Slice house. I took it by Slice house. Slice, what this is. Slice was able to tell me exactly what it was for. And I kind of went from there. Slice was the one that gave me my first musician friend book, which kind of, introduced me to different pieces of equipment. So, I look in the book, order what I needed. And, if I didn't understand something or I got stuck in something, I was always go to Slice. Slice was the right-hand man for the equipment and everything and get the knowledge, I learned MIDI from him. I didn't know what MIDI was,
Right.
Slice was the man for me. So, I praise him a lot. That's my mentor when I first started in the music. Him and DJ Still Rock. Him and DJ Still Rock. Yeah.
Rock. Right. So you having this board, like you say, you got this Elise, Sam. Excuse me, Slice putting you on. He told you, hey, this what it is. You getting these tips from Slice. What was your first experience with making your first full beat feel like? What was that? What did that feel like after you did that? What your first?
Oh man, I loved it. It was like a drug. And since I made that first beat, I bought a rolling. I think it was a rolling 307. And I was sitting in the room. I made a little back room out of a studio.
Right.
I had the closet. I had a closet for the mic, and I made beats and everything back there. Started out making beats, and like I said, it was like a drug. From then on, it was like I was addicted. And like every week, I had to get a new piece. So I used to go to the pawn shops like every week. I'm going to the pawn shops, checking out new equipment. Buying something new. Bring it home, test it out, see what it's all about.
Right.
And that's where it all started at.
Very dope. Very dope. Very dope. very dope. So during those times, so just during those times, like you said, you making the beats, you doing that. Who was the first early? Was there any other people that, even though I could say I know Slice, DJ Slice was putting you on the different parts of equipment and all that type of stuff. I know
Yeah.
Slice, I don't know if Slice really was making any beats. Was there any other producers besides like a Slice or Seal Rock that you were really interacting with, or that you looked up to? You know what I'm saying, that helped push your beat making in those early days, Sam?
In the early days, in fact, there was another producer in Monk's Corner, Tito.
Oh, shout out to you.
Yeah, shout out Tito, Jonathan Reed.
Mm,
He was making beats at the time. He had a studio. He used to DJ also, and we ended up working together. We was on a construction job at the time, and we ended up working together. And both of us had a love for music, so we were sitting there trying to come up with name for a production company. So we kind of came up with the name of Pitch Black Entertainment. So we started making music together. At that time, I believe I was working on the I think I had the Cork Triton during that time. So me and him was working off the Triton, the 307. I believe we even had a little Zoom drum machine that we even had that we were even making beats off of. So me and him kind of started the Pitch Black label, and we started getting artists. We was working on, we were doing beats at the time, and then, at the time, we didn't have any artists. We weren't working with anybody at the time.
So this is the early days. This is just you and Tito doing these early times. This is the
Right,
first.
right. During that time, it was just me and him just kind of making beats.
Okay.
We wasn't really recording anything. We didn't have any recording equipment at that time, so we were just kind of making beats and just, I would say not really shopping beats, but we were letting people, kind of hear what we were doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Super cool. Super cool. So, just switching back to you, Slice. So during them times, like you said, you learned, you really done learned your equipment, and you learn what's going on, because like you said, you schooled in the young brother Samson coming to you. You know what I'm saying? You still doing these parties. What was the right then? What was the highlight of going on with your DJing? Were you doing a lot of clubs? Were you doing a lot of different spots? You know what I'm saying? What was going on with you with the DJing at the time for you?
Okay. Well, I did I did do a whole lot of clubs. And in the early 90s, I met a guy by the name of Jeff Hardy at a job I was working at. And he come up to me, "Hey man, your brother tells me," well, it was a white guy. He comes up, he says, "Hey, Bo, your brother tells me you're nice on them turntables." I said, "Yeah, I do my thing." And he said, "Hey, let me come by and check you out sometime." So, I had just bought a house. So I had equipment set up in the den part of my house. And he came by, and, I was doing my thing and all the scratches. He said, "Hey, man, I'm starting a live band. I want to do like an alternative rock, hip hop type of thing." And I was like, "Okay, that sounds cool." And then we pulled in another one of my partners by the name of Lamont Britt, ELSD. He was our rapper. So for about a good 6 years, I played with that band, you know, but during the time when Sam was setting up, getting this stuff together, I was playing with this live band. And I'd come home every now and then, and Sam would be there, and he asked me about equipment, and certain situations with equipment. And, I'd give him my advice. But during that time, my main focus was playing with the live band, adding scratches in the songs and stuff like that.
Okay.
Okay.
That's dope. So with this, with you doing this, so was your name really getting high the height of being, what was your mind state? What did you plan on taking with the DJing? I mean, how was tell me, give me more background of how the career was going on. How was you feeling? I know, did you get a family during this time? I mean, what was the situation?
Oh yeah, man. I had during this time I already was 2 kids in and a wife.
Okay.
So, you know, it got kind of rough sometimes, but we pushed through.
Right, right,
And like I said, it was good years.
right,
It was good years.
right,
But
right.
then after working with the band and being in the recording studio and recording songs and stuff like that, I already had my house, so I just turned my garage into a studio.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay.
And then that's when I really dove into the recording side of
Yes,
the
sir.
music.
Yes. And those and we can't forget about those early times. That's when you met old Eddie Dynamite. You know,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
at that time I was extremely debonair. You know what I'm saying? He coming through. You know what I'm saying? A young and I mean and I'm telling y'all because my relationship with both of these brothers is really deep. You know what I'm saying? Slice. I actually went to Slice during this time when he was building the studio, the early days. You know what I'm saying? Because I was looking for this. I was in high school, man, so I'm looking for some place to go and rap. You know, they didn't even have a whole lot of studios in Moss Corner like that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm this, this 99, 97, 98, you know what I'm saying? Early time. So, I'm going every day, you know what I'm saying? I'm watching the process of Slice, building the studio, putting the window in, you know what I'm saying? Setting everything up. Young Bali, shout out Bali, you know what I'm saying? A hot,
Was in the Walker.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, he was walking around there beating on the drums. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gonna see him on the show now. And he one of the coldest man we got, you know what I'm saying, right now. But y'all gonna see that. I got him coming to the show real soon. That's Slice son. But I remember, him, like I said, one baby fresh out the womb, one, you know what I'm saying, one not even probably not even 1 year old yet, you know what I'm saying, messing around in the lab during those early times, you know.
Yeah.
So I saw the same later on. The crazy thing with Samson, with both of his sons, he had them both early on in the studio, fresh out the womb. I saw them brothers right there, you know what I'm saying, in the studio, you know what I'm saying. So during those times, I end up going to college. And when I went to college, you know what I'm saying, I left, and then when I went to college, left home, came back, and I ran into Samson. And from when I ran into, before I met Samson, I actually ran into I was rapping with Terrence, a brother named Terrence James Scott. Shout out Scott.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean, out there in Whitesville, you know what I'm saying? So me, him, and my brother Mike Brazel, we had a group. Mike Brazel actually went to school from Berkeley, went to Berkeley with me. So, you know what I'm saying? He also went to college with me, Benedict College. Shout out Benedict. We were doing our thing and came back, and we ran into Tito. So, we was over there doing our thing. So Tito was like, man, hey, because Tito was DJing over there. Tito really didn't have no recording equipment. And Tito was like, what, man, I got some dudes, man, that's doing got the joint. Me and my partner got a label. I want to come over there and let you meet them. And I ran, and that's when I got over there to we went for the first time. We came over there to your spot, Samson, and you actually had Billy Ray, the artist Billy Ray. Shout out, you was in there doing work. And we sat outside for at least a week every day.
Right. I remember that because he didn't want nobody in the studio. Yeah.
Listen, we didn't care, bro. We just wanted to be by the lab. So we outside, you know what I'm saying?
I remember that. Yeah.
We like, hey, hey, Slice, we like, when we get in this joint, man, it's going down, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And a childhood friend of mine, you know what I'm saying, of my family, shout out Duke, you know what I'm saying, you know what I mean, the legendary Duke, man, from Chavis Lane, you know what I mean, that's the bro, that's the big bro. He actually came to me even prior to that and was like, hey, man, we building, because him and Sam, they joined on us. I'm probably jumping the gun on Sam's story. Sam will bring that in, but I just wanted to segue and say that, he came to us, you know what I'm saying, like, I hear y'all doing the thing, you know what I'm saying, I want y'all to come, you know what I mean, we setting up a label. We want y'all to come and get down. So I'm gonna start running my mouth. Samson, take me, Sam, from. I would just wanted to give a little background from with all of us, our connection. But Samson, take me from the situation, from the point where you and Tito, y'all doing you got the label together to where y'all end up meeting Duke and getting together and really forming the label into forming the organization to an actual label.
Okay. Well, me and Tito making beats at the time, and my partner Duke, which is childhood friend, went to school together and everything. He was in college at the time, so when he came home from college, he found I was making beats. He came by, and he had a business degree. So we was like, hey, we might as well put this together, because he had a love for music also. So we was like, well, we just all come together, form this label, and do our thing. So that's where Pitch Black Entertainment came from. Tito, me, and Duke. So at that time, that's when you was saying that you met Duke. Well, Duke is a family friend. Duke brought you in. In fact, he did Duke bring over the whole MTV crew, or was it just at that time? Because I can't clearly remember if Mike came over at the same time as Terrence.
No, I think it was just me and Terrence prior, because I think Mike came. I think I told you about Mike. It was just me and Terrence as a group initially, you know what I'm saying? Because me and Mike was right at school, and I brought Mike in. I was like, hey man, I got somebody else that can really, you know what I'm saying, do their thing. I remember when we finally got in there and Billy was in there, he was like, hey, let me rap, let me hear what y'all can do. And we went and did our thing. He acted like it wasn't shit, you know what I'm saying?
Well, you know it was hot though. It was fire. You know it was fire. He knew it.
Yeah,
he knew it.
But go ahead, finish your story, Sam.
But yeah, anyway, you got bought to, you and Terrence came through. I remember y'all dropped that song, The Heat Rock. I think that was one of the first songs that y'all dropped. It was called The Heat Rock.
Yeah, and that war cry.
And that war cry. Yeah. And from then on, it was like, it was lovely. It was magic from then on. So, then we got other people joining the group. We remember Little Nuke joined the group, J-Bone. Yeah. We had a big crew back in the day. We had like 7 people. We had like 7 rappers, you know what I'm saying? And it was a pretty large crew that we had back in the day.
It did. And the crazy thing, our first initial, not even being in there, probably not even a year or 2 together, man. We was in we was doing shout out Mega Bucks, you know what I'm saying? Remember, they put us on the lick and we went to Atlanta.
We went to Atlanta, exactly.
That
was an experience. That Atlanta trip was a real experience there.
Right. So like I said, they know what I'm about to say, because I say it every show. This is a community university. So the questions I'm y'all is just for brothers that's building their own legacy, the DJs, producers, brothers that's in the artistry that's building their own legacy, and this is just a trial and error, because I know I gave you ass hell. I know I gave you. You know what I'm saying? We was young coming up.
We was young. Yeah, we definitely were.
So during those early times, how difficult was it for you? So I don't want to even jump the gun with the Atlanta trip. Let's go early days. So what was the initial separation? Because it was always you Duke and Tito. What was the separation that really was like where Tito ended up leaving and it was just you and Duke?
Okay. Well, there was a disagreement that was had over the music. I can't really speak on it because I don't clearly remember exactly what happened. That was a long time ago. That was like early 2000s. But there was a disagreement that went on and the group split up. So half of the group went with Tito and half of the group stayed with me and Duke. In fact, Dynamite stayed with me and Duke, and Mac Brazel stayed with me and Duke.
Right.
I believe Terrence and MTV ended up doing their own thing,
right?
Kind of forming their own little clique.
That's right.
So at that time, it was just you and Mike Brazel.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Um, so at that point, we was kind of at a crossroads. We didn't know exactly what direction we was going to go. We went from a big crew to a
Mhm.
small crew.
Right.
So
Right.
me and Duke, we talked and we was like, we're just gonna make it work with what we got. Dynamite is hot. Hey, let's push Dynamite.
Right.
You know, at that time, I believe Mike Brazel was going through some things. So yeah, he was going through some things. So you were mostly the artist that was around at that time. So I was focused was mostly on you and getting your first album and things like that together and forming, getting Pitch Black, pretty much tight. You know what I'm saying, and getting us to jail again.
Right.
So
Right. Right. So during those early times when we still initially had I know we had J Bone and Nuke. I know they know they would, like I said, the singles they had was real, like I said, real early on, and they could say, like you said, kind of split those early days. But even in those early times when they were with us and we took those and took those trips to Atlanta, how was it? How difficult was it to try to set up those during those times, because now they got social media. It's easy to make connections with artists and clubs and say, I want to open up and perform, or I want to go to these venues and festivals. How hard was it at that time for you and Duke to try to get find venues and events for us to really do things at during those early times?
I mean, it was hard because, like you were saying, at that time there was no YouTube, and we didn't have the internet like we have now. So it was kind of hard. You had to do a lot more footwork. You had to get out there. You had to put out flyers. You had to make CDs at that time. So it was a lot harder to do things and to promote. You really had to get out there, and you really had to put in that footwork and meet people and grind to really get your sound out there and get your music out there back in those days. So and having a lot of artists, it was a lot having a lot of artists because you got a lot of beats, you got a lot of studio time, you had to arrange all this thing, and then you had artists that you had to track down. Hey, studio time is it's time to get in the studio. We got to make this song. You got to go track people down. So it was hectic back in those days, but I loved it. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Right. Most definitely, most definitely. So Slice. What about you as far as the DJ? Did you continue to continue what you have in your family, like you said during that time, and your family got bigger and grew, just even and just going prior to even with me coming to you, because I know by that time you probably slowed up DJing at that time. Did you did you did you decide to work with anybody else as far as teaching them with DJing, or did you just put the equipment down? I mean, what was the experience with you when you decided to say, well, you know what, I'm not going to focus too much on this. I'm just going to really do my thing on this side of the game.
Well, for me, after the band broke up, I did continue to DJ, you know, and it was still gigs was still coming in pretty heavy. So I only took hiatus. I never really quit. You see
Right.
what I'm saying? I
Mhm.
would take time out and started concentrating more on learning the studio side of things, learning how to make a beat and stuff like that. You
Mhm.
know, and then one point in time, I think I took a break for like about a year, and then what really slowed me down was when they were converting from vinyl to CDs.
Mhm.
So it got harder for me to find the records that you know the people wanted to hear and things of that nature.
Right.
So I had to transition to the controllers. I wasn't a big fan of like the CDJs and things like that because I always was in love with the feel of the vinyl. And a lot of the street DJs per se weren't getting gigs like that because people did not want to hear you know, DJ turning tricks. They just really wanted somebody to just play the music.
Right, right, right.
So, that kind of took a little bit out of it for me,
Mm,
you
mm,
know.
mm.
But then I started focusing more on, I could make a beat and put these cuts and scratches in there. Sounds real nice. I started doing that. Started learning more on making beats, started recording and things of that nature, you know.
So you felt like so you truly so you coming from that's interesting what you're saying that so you felt like you coming from the real vinyl and not saying that we got DJs that can still that use vinyl now, but it's like you said, it's not as popular, you know what I'm saying? That's more vintage now. So
Yeah.
with you starting off with the vinyl and actually being able to hand touch, do you feel like the technology kind of fucked that up? You know what I'm saying? From being that original, you know what I'm saying? Do you feel like that?
Yes, sir. I
Mhm.
really do.
Mhm.
It takes a lot of the skill out of it.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And which I recently just went into retiring from DJ.
Okay.
I had last month, I had 5 gigs that I turned down
Oh man, okay.
in 1 week.
Mm, mm.
In 1 week.
I believe it. I believe it. So
And
so are these venues? What type of venues are you choosing to do now? When you do decide, are they are just because I know they're at your own choosing. Like I say, you OG now. You can have your pick of what you want to do. So do you choose to do now? Being that you're more on this side of the game, do you like doing larger venues or more small, intimate venues? What's more your thing now?
small, intimate venues.
Okay.
You know, I
Okay.
like doing things like I would do like birthday parties,
Okay.
family reunions,
Mm-hmm.
you know, more family oriented type functions.
Right. Do you see as far as you still being out there as an OG and DJing, do you see the DJing game, and I'm just talking about in our area, do you see it have you seen it getting stronger and increasing, or do you see it still it needs some work, some building with some work? Be honest about your opinion.
Well, so far as the DJ game goes,
Hmm.
right now we got a lot of nice young cats out there doing their thing. You know, you got a couple of them just use a laptop, but they rock the crowd with that. I
Right,
can't, I can't knock that.
right,
They make a move.
right.
There's some guys using the controllers that's just really nice ones,
Mm, mm.
you know.
Okay. Okay. So
Yep.
so during that early time, so what was the brand? Do you remember the brand of that very first controller or very first mixer that you got? What was the brand of that one?
The very first DJ mixer,
Yeah. That you said
ah,
got
realistic.
realistic. Okay. Did they eventually become another company, or did because some of them evolve into other companies, or was it did they just kind of fade away? Was it one of those companies that faded away?
Well, that's a Radio Shack mixer,
Okay.
and some radio, and which is a Tandy product.
Okay. Okay.
And so forth as I know, they don't make Tandy anymore.
Hmm.
But you can still, I be on the internet on eBay and looking, and I still come across that old vintage realistic mixer.
Okay.
Somebody trying to sell it for triple the price, you know.
and, and,
And
and,
it's got the fader missing.
and you know that, and I'm asking you because what would be and because I know you're still involved in the music, even though you've seen the turntables and the whole system evolve over many years. What would you suggest a young brother now if you want to get started with getting him a setup with getting turntables and that type of thing?
Well, if you're serious, my thing is you could spend the money one time
Hmm.
and be good,
Right.
or you can go cheap on it and have to continue to spend money.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? I would recommend a Rain One. That's a DJ controller. It's control. It's on the Serato platform. I would recommend that
That's something good to start off with right there.
just for a head unit.
Okay, okay,
You
okay,
know,
okay, okay.
then you got to break down to your stage mixer, and then most guys now are running powered speakers,
Okay.
so that's a big plus too.
Mm.
You don't have to lug an amp. All you got is your two powered speakers, your mixer, and your DJ head unit, and you good.
And you're in the game. So what would a whole setup, including? I mean, because they probably gonna need a laptop too, computer,
Yeah.
whatever. You don't have that. What would a whole setup like that cost a young brother that's trying to get involved like that with something like with DJing?
Right now,
Hmm.
the Rain One gonna run you about a G.
Okay, okay,
So everything total 2,500.
okay, okay. And that's a good solid start for you.
That's yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, okay. And then
2,500. You can
spending this 25, you don't have to keep going back getting buying, putting new stuff in, trying to put fuses in, set up.
that's right.
You gonna run you right here. You're gonna be good.
Yeah, you're
Right.
gonna be good until you're ready to upgrade.
Okay, okay, okay. And that's what they so young brothers, y'all here, you know what I'm saying? Spend a little change. He's brother DJ Slice at 2,500. That's a good start for you. You know what I'm saying? I seen y'all throw away more money in that. Y'all got money phones to your ear, doing all type of stuff. If you can do that, you can put money into your business. You know what I'm saying?
I'll put it to you like this, Eddie.
Mhm.
When I was buying serious equipment, my turntable, just one, cost you $1,000,
Mm, mm.
and you had to have two.
Right, right, right.
Then your mixer would cost you about 400, 500.
Mm, mm.
Which I use Newmark and Pioneer.
Top of the line.
So if you want good stuff and you want it to last and you want it to be dependable, you got to get dependable equipment.
That's right. I agree. I agree.
You know,
Yep.
I agree. So so flipping back to you, Big Sam. So Big Sam, you got the artists going. You know what I'm saying? Y'all, you making beats, you making equipment. So I'm a before we teeter too much on the label side, because I wanted to be more. I wanted to be about you. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to know about. We here to speak about you about your experience with the music. Take me back to those from making those first early beats for us. You know what I'm saying? What was the grind with the equipment and the type of things that you had to do? I mean, was it a nights, late nights building I know it was late nights making these beats, you know what I'm saying? Up in this. I was out a lot
Plenty
of
of late nights.
there with you. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So those early stages of that education with learning beats and learning that what did that show you, what did that teach you during those times?
Taught me a lot of patience. Because working with some of this equipment, you're not going to just know everything, and a lot of times you can't find it in a manual. And back in those days, we didn't have the YouTube to where I can just type it in and there's somebody there to tell you, step by step how to do this in the process. So a lot of the learning I had to do, I just had to press the button, see what it do, you know, pull this wire, plug this here, do this, do that, find out what it does and how it works. So, it was a lot of late nights making beats and learning and discovering new things and trying new sounds and seeing what works. And I started out with little 4 tracks, little 5 sticks, 4 tracks, and then you would step up to something else when it comes out, and then I'd read something about another piece of equipment, and I'd go and try to find it, see who had it, try to get it. And it was always an elevation game for me. It was like, I'd set it up, find out how it works, and then I try to go and get something a little bit better and elevate the sound, try to keep rising and elevating. So, that was my goal and my focus when I first started was to, try to get on a better level and, get your sound up to par, and make good music.
Right. And then, like I said, I definitely saw you with the Korg. I saw you with several different boards. You know what I'm saying? So 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 not- so 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 during this time, I saw your sound change a whole lot. And when you went to the next stage of, I remember when I was working with the film with Coco. You know what I'm saying? Uh, you had you right there during that time. You had acquired some new artists during that time. You know what I mean? We got Big Dog Mirage, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Money Mark the Mayor, you know what I'm saying? My dog got shout out Mirage, you know what I'm saying? Sadiq, DJ. So you had this song Let's Dance, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You they was forming a whole new sound during that time. You in Chaos. We can't forget about the
We
situation.
can't forget about chaos. That's what I was going to say. We can't forget about fatigue also.
Oh, definitely,
Fatigue.
definitely.
Willie V. Because actually, Willie V brought chaos to us. Remember?
That was the second. That was the beginning of the second.
Right. That was beginning of exactly.
Right.
Willie V brought chaos through, which chaos is a super producer,
Oh yes.
DJ also. He ended up bringing chaos through,
Mm-hmm.
and it just added another dimension to the beats.
Yeah.
I
Shout
mean,
out to Willie V.
he's killer on those beats. That's why we call him Killer Chaos.
That's right. That's right.
So,
Right.
now we acquired Chaos during that time.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, we was working with Josh. Remember Nilla G?
Another G.
Nilla
That's
G
right.
was coming through during that time. And
Mhm.
then my man Multi came through during that time.
Shout out,
We were
shout out.
Multi
A lot of
during that
producers.
time.
A lot of
Right. So
producers.
we had our crew was growing again during that time. So we were adding artists. And then I believe after that time, I believe that's when Arab joined us.
Yeah, definitely.
After Fatigue came, then I believe Arab joined back up because Arab did some early songs with us
That's
when
right.
we were doing songs back in the bedroom in the closet.
That's right.
When we had the mic booth in the closet.
Most definitely.
Arab did some early songs with us, but Arab came back through, joined back up with us
That's
2 years later, and
Get them bored.
but a couple people ended up leaving. Multi ended up leaving. Nilla G ended up going doing his gospel thing.
That's right.
So, now the crew's back to Fatigue, Dynamite, and Arab.
Arab. That's right.
It was the three of y'all during that time when we came out with the warning shots.
Yep.
Warning shots.
Minutes of the game.
Right. But he was he on warning shots also, or warning shots was just mainly you?
Warning shots was just mainly me. He didn't. That was the early stage. I think warning shots was really what helped pull him in. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember I saw Rab at the store, and I gave him copies of the warning shots. He's like, oh yeah, and came back and started fucking with us again, right? Because remember that's when we got the remember I did the
Land Sharks.
Was it the Carolina? Was it the Land Sharks? The Sea Sharks? What was it?
Something like that. Yeah, we did the performance out there.
Yeah, the semi-pro team, man. I did the song for them to bust out the back. So Rad went with us that day. You know what I'm saying? We met the team.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I remember that's when he linked back up with us.
Yeah. Most definitely. That was a classic moment right there. So like I said, during that time later on, like you said, we acquired Coco, you know what I'm saying, Raj, Sadiq, DJ, a lot of artists came and went during that time, and I'm also had them brothers on the show, so they'll get to tell their story too, you know what I'm saying. But also so during this time, saying with one thing I always noticed about you was your progression of buying equipment. Like I said, I learned a lot of things about you myself that I practice today, you know what I'm saying, testing equipment and checking out the specs, all of these type of things. And I've seen you go in and out in a lot of different things and even hand build a lot of studios yourself. You know what I'm saying? Plenty that I've seen you do. What what inspires that type of ingenuity and that type of hustle and mind state to want to learn more, to want to make sure you doing the right thing, have the best equipment, to want to build these things yourself? Do you find a pride in building these things and knowing it yourself versus getting somebody else to do it for you? How do you feel about it? I've always wondered that about yourself, because just as easily, I mean, it's gonna cost, but just as easily as we can get things, we can do it ourselves. We can always get somebody else to do it, but I always see the pride, and to me, it was always better. Seemed like when you did it, because it seemed like it was so much love involved. What's your mind state when you're working on these type of projects, Sam?
It's mostly when when I'm working on them, it's just a vision. It's kind of like I'll get a thought in my head of, man, I wouldn't mind doing this, and it's like, can I do it myself? And it's mostly a challenge, and so I kind of challenge myself when I start trying to do things or invent things or create, making studios. So it's like a challenge to me, and it's really the love for it. I love doing it. I love working with my hands. I love working with wood, and love working with equipment. So it's like second nature sometimes. And I'll just start off with a project, and it's like it just goes from there. And with the equipment side of it, is like I always like to advance and grow and get a better sound. So, getting something new, it was just intriguing. It's learning something new, learning new equipment, working with different sounds and figuring out different ways to do things. So, it was always enhancing our sound when it was pitch black. It was, buying this piece of equipment. Can we make the drums hit harder? Can we do this? Can we sonically sound better? So it was always trying to elevate. And that was what was behind always getting new gear, new pieces of equipment, and kind of staying in the loop and staying relevant and staying up to date.
Right,
So
right.
that was, a lot of the drive behind it.
Right. That's dope, because that's very important. You always that's something that you always push about staying ahead of the curve, staying on top. I remember, shoot, even when YouTube, those early days, said we had when they had the big back computer. Oh yeah, it was the big back monitors. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
What in monitors?
right.
Samsung had them in their slice, man. Samsung had those. I mean, YouTube early, when you couldn't even post nothing on YouTube, when you can only put to a minute on YouTube, a minute and some change. We saw the whole progression because we was right there trying to
Yeah,
work out
right.
shit too. You know what I'm saying? Post out MySpace. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Being posting up shit. You know what I mean? So Sam was always the one that pushed us to stay ahead of the curve and stay on top of the technology. You know what I'm saying? And Duke right there with him. You know what I'm saying? Supporting whatever vision Sam got going on. Duke right there. You know what I'm saying?
oh yeah.
We know we
That's
make
my right hand man. Duke was always there. Sometimes Duke would beat me to the studio.
sure,
A
always.
lot
Yeah,
of times, yeah.
that's
Oh yeah.
right. And be on my ass every, you know what I'm saying,
Oh
about
yeah. Oh yeah. That was one dedicated brother right there, man.
yes, sir, yeah,
Shout out Duke.
shout out Duke, man. We love you, Duke. But um so what would you suggest, Sam, as a young producer coming to you and say, I want to get involved in this thing? And I mean, we just got the layout from Slice, what's going to cost a young brother to have a solid setup. I mean, you can get a second hand setup, like say, but
Right.
your gonna be back to the store. You know what I'm saying? Sooner, you know what I mean? Much sooner than later. You know what
Oh
I
yeah.
mean?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
So Sam, you tell me, in the same, and break it down in the same terms. If a young brother came to you and you stay on top of your equipment, because y'all see behind Sam built all of that right now to today. You know what I'm saying? And he stays on. Y'all see the MPC. You see all this everything. Just what y'all working with now. Sam got that shit now, and he's still making beats. You know what I'm saying? That's what I call him, Big Sam. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I mean? So Big Sam, what would you suggest to a young brother that say, man, I want to get my own startup, I want to get right, and I want to build, maybe not necessarily a whole unit like you've built for yourself, just maybe just want to set up their room, just start up, but still need the proper equipment, the foam, all that type of stuff. Give us a breakdown of what that young brother or young sister might need.
All right. Well, these days they've made technology's made it a lot easier. You know, growing up when in my days it would have cost you thousands of dollars to be able to do what we do today for just a few $100s. So
Mhm.
for someone growing up these days that's wanting to get into music, you need a nice computer. You're gonna need your microphone, an interface, and you're gonna need a program to put it on. Um, whether it's Pro Tools, Nuendo, Cubase, Studio One, you know, any one of them you can pretty much use these days and get a pretty good sound. So, you know, like I said, some of these starter packs, studios and stuff like that, you can probably get for $300-400. Um, if you want to step up to more of a professional grade, getting more better preamps and interfaces, then you know you the price can, I mean, go way up there. You know, thousands of dollars. You know, so you know I would suggest start off with something that you can afford. Don't try to break the budget on it.
Mhm.
You know, start out with something that you can afford. Learn that equipment, and then when you're ready and you develop your sound, then I would say step up.
Mm.
And
Dope.
so, you know, that's some of the advice I would give to some of the young people growing up now, you know, that's trying to do music. You know, and stay focused, keep your heart into it. Don't give up.
Right, right. So building their own far as studio setup like you got, you know what I'm saying, the phone, getting the right sound thing. Should they be utilizing YouTube videos and internet? What should they be looking up, taking their
Oh
time
yeah.
to research?
Oh yeah. Yeah. YouTube right now is your best friend for looking up a lot of information on studios and how to set up studios. You can type it in, you know, how to set up a studio, and there's 100 people on there right now that can tell you how to do it and give you different ways and different methods to set it up, and you know, different places to set your foam, and you know how to set your acoustics up, and you know just how to get your studio set up the right way.
Right,
So
right.
yes, I would say YouTube is a very good tool for that.
Mm, mm, mm.
One of the best.
No, most definitely, most
Yeah.
definitely.
Oh yeah.
Slice, you will say the same, brother. Want to learn DJ tricks, want to learn different stuff from DJs. I mean, that somebody that may not have a mentor, somebody right above them, you think would YouTube be a good place to start to learn some DJ stuff too?
I call it YouTube University.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
I
sir.
agree with that.
That's I go to YouTube now and just check out some of the DJs and what they're doing. My best to watch is DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Oh, legend in the game.
You know, it's no other like him.
Hmm.
You know, but yeah, I would recommend they go to YouTube and learn as much as they can.
Right, right,
You know,
right. Yeah, that's dope. I mean, I feel you on the same, man. I go to YouTube for anything from doing some work on my car to work around the house. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It's always like you said. That's YouTube. That's a free school that you can go to.
that's right.
You know what I mean? And it's just crazy the way the people originally just evolved to that. Just people just start putting their own videos. I'm glad they do it because anything you can think of, shoot, you know what I mean? They got it. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, I
That's
had to fix my lawnmower today, and where did I go?
YouTube.
YouTube, and it's running.
Mhm.
See,
Oh yeah.
you better believe it. You better believe it. Better believe it. So so with y'all brothers, man. This has definitely been a fabulous discussion, brothers. You know what I'm saying? I just not just learning more about y'all, about yourselves, but just also just about your grind. You know what I'm saying, with the game, because it's definitely respectable. You know what I'm saying, and like I said, and just to even play with the brother, with the other, but what Nori always say on his show. You know what I'm saying? We got to give the flowers. You know what I'm saying? While the brothers here. You know what I'm saying? You know, we like to wait sometimes to give people they praise while they gone. You know what I'm saying? It's time to get a brother here. Like I said, and these are two brothers who basically raised me as well as other brothers that they raised in the game. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It's not just me, but I'm just here talking about me. I can only get my experience. Like I said, we're gonna definitely bring Mirage, you know what I'm saying, Fatigue, bring Sadiq, bring a lot of back home, they can chop it up. You know what I'm saying? We got, like I said, we got Slice Son. He's the next up and coming. That's the prince of the, I call him the prince of Berkeley County right there.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like big old Bali, you know what I'm saying? And he got some fire, so I definitely got him coming. He got a situation, you know, where he putting together this label and his management situation. So, you know, he already reached out to me. You know, he could tell me when time is right, he gonna come and drop it, because he working on some big projects right now. So, you know, that's a busy time when you're in the lab. So I understand, but definitely shout out Bali. We'll be right here waiting, because you know we here. We want to be able to support you. So leaning off of that, and I'm gonna start with you, Slice. You know what I'm saying? Um, what words would you say, yourself? Just final words, just giving advice to any brother just want to come on and do their own thing, want to set up their own DJ business, want to get involved into this artistry, want to get involved into the technology, because that's something we always dismiss the technology. We always talk about the artistry, but tonight you and Sam express how important the technology is, and staying on top of the technology and learning what you are, and actually putting money behind yourself, and not shortchanging yourself, because that's another subject, you know, that we always got people telling you, hey, you can go there, get this for that and do this for that, but you know, don't shortchange yourself, because you're gonna hurt later on. So give me a final advice from you to these young brothers and sisters, man, that want to get involved in the game, bro.
Oh yeah, just like you said, you got to invest in yourself. You know, if you feel, if no matter if you're DJing, rapping, making beats, whatever you do, invest in yourself. And if you got any ambitions of making it a lifelong decision and being in music, don't stop. Keep going. Keep going.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sam.
I would say if you got a love for it, put your all into it. You know, it's like I said, don't stop. Keep doing it. And you gotta invest in yourself. You know, you gotta put something in to get something out. So for the young ones out there, follow your dreams. Don't give up. It'll come.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And like I said, I definitely appreciate y'all brothers joining me. I will. I you guys got endless stories and seen endless situations. So did we basically just skim the surface tonight? But I would love if any of y'all have any time, any more time later on. You know what I'm saying, down the line. If you want to come back to the show, you know the door is always welcome. Y'all always welcome the family here. You want to hear what you got to say. You know what I'm saying? We like I say, we love you, we support you. Without y'all, without you guys, the the foundation of where we at in Berkeley, because I got a lot of brothers from different areas. Like I said, a lot of my guys from Charleston. You know, we all one unit, and you know that's the Tri-County area, but particularly our
Mhm.
county. These the architects right here. You talking to that build this. You're gonna see more. Come on, but these are the architects that put it down to help build what you see now in our area. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely appreciate y'all coming on, man. It's definitely much love. You know what I mean? And like I
Love, brother. Yeah.
like I said, I'm just grateful, bro, that y'all just gave me a little time, man, to come and chop it up. You know what I mean? But like I said, the door's always open. So anytime, come back. You know what I mean? So we show some love, Samson. Definitely. You know, I'm trying to do a little, not a little, but a nice tribute for Rizla. You know what I'm saying? What we can
Yeah.
kind of
Definitely.
play some of his music. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
me, you, Raj, you know what I'm saying? Sadiq, I can get hold of his wife, you know what I'm saying, Meech, you know what I'm saying, the kids, you know what I'm saying, this and other brothers, Brown, Toby, you know what I'm saying, different brothers that been
Yeah.
around, and to speak about their experience, you know what I'm saying, about his experience with the music, you know, Big Mo, Zeke, you know what I'm saying, all the
Oh
brothers
yeah.
come
Oh
chop
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And I definitely Slice, you seen the whole ride, so I definitely wouldn't mind you being back there, right there, you know what I'm saying, chopping it up, you know what I'm saying, seeing the vision, what I mean, we gonna chop it up, tell them about the whole rundown, you know what I'm saying, what I mean, and just let them know, that's a brother that just gotta, like you said, we can't forget about, we gotta always speak our brothers and speak their names so they can always be remembered. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Definitely.
Most definitely. I'll
Yeah.
be there.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. Much love. And like I said, man, I appreciate y'all brothers coming again. I ain't gonna be too long with it. I know y'all got shit to do. I appreciate y'all came through chopping it.
No problem. No problem.
Anytime.
Anytime.
Like I
Like I
said,
said,
much love.
oh
Yes.
yeah.
All right. Peace.